All right, how's everyone doing? So, I usually talk about guitar and music in general. You do not see any guitars next to me, but I'm going to talk about this business of music. This thing is born out of reading an article. It's the pandemic. Everybody knows that. So, one of the things that I've been really missing is live music. I love music, man, and I love seeing it perform live, whether it be at a bar, at a concert venue, in a restaurant. That's what really, really touched me. So I've been to recitals of classical guitars, jazz guitars. I've seen bands play. I've seen Stevie Ray Vaughan live. Famous artists. I grew up in New York City. I've watched tons and tons of concerts over at Madison Square Garden, and definitely I've done the gauntlet of all of the jazz bars, the 55 Club where Mike Stern still plays. I used to get in there for $5 on Tuesday or Wednesday night, and you could watch it all the time. The bottom line, Fat Tuesdays, all of those clubs, and some of them have became really, really pricey. Out here in Massachusetts, where I live, there's a bar called Wally's on Columbus and Mass Ave, no cover. You just buy beers. I mean, I lived down the block from that stuff on Mass Ave. I saw some of the best Berkeley students performing. I would see even jazz musicians that were playing at the Regatta Bar and other places pop in for late night jam sessions. Anyway, so what has happened is that live performances have become obscene as far as the costs that they're asking people to pay for. And so today I'm reading the Boston Globe and I saw an article about Boston Calling. And for those of you guys who may not know, unless you live in Massachusetts, it's basically a 3 day event that's held during Memorial Day weekend. It's a festival that's held, I think it's over at the Harvard Athletic Complex from the 27th to the 29th of that Friday. So I'm reading and I'm like, oh wow, and a lot of these bands I don't even know them, but a lot of them I do know them, and you guys know them. So they're not like crazy jazz guitars or jazz fan, but they're popular music. So I'm looking at it, and so Friday on May 27th, you've got the Nine Inch Nails, Haim, Avril Lavigne, Cheap Trick. So I know those. I grew up with that stuff. Paris Jackson, Grandson, Born Without Bones. So a whole slew of people on that Friday, on the 28th. Let me see if I recognize anybody over here. All right. So nope. That's just I don't know. You guys might know some of these people. Run the Jewels, Orville Peck, Francis Forever, Julie Rhodes. Never heard of any of these bands, but they're contemporary. Now Sunday's the night. Okay, this one we know. Metallica, Weezer. Okay, now we're talking. And the Cuffs. So anyway, so it's basically a lot of bands playing. So I'm thinking you're gonna get your money's worth. Then I look and I said the price of this stuff, and I'm only gonna quote the price of the 3 days. So if you pay for all 3 days, there are three levels of pricing for this. The 3 day pass, general pass, is $370. Okay. Now, if you want the 3 day VIP pass, that's gonna cost $1,000. Now, if you want the 3 day platinum, that's 2K. Okay, 2K. And you may say, each day there's like over six, seven, eight bands. That's worth it. But who can afford to pay for that money? In theory, I can actually pay some of this stuff and go. I choose not to spend my money that way, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. And yeah, there are day passes and there's 2 day passes. That's still obscene. It's just an obscene amount of money to pay to see these bands and these performances. And like I said, there's no substitute for watching live music. As a person who loves music, there's no more inspiration. If you were around and you saw Eddie Van Halen play, man, you'd go home, pick up your guitar, and you'd play all night long. Okay? If you saw George Benson play, you would do the exact same thing. So there's a lot of inspiration, and I'm sure people who are not just musicians, they might be singers, they might just be general music lovers. It makes you feel good. And right now, with the pandemic and with all of the situation, we all want to get out, but this is crazy. So I said to myself, well, why does this stuff cost so much money? I certainly hope that the artists are getting it. I certainly hope the musicians and things of that nature. And so I was just curious, and I started looking at things and doing some research, and I guess, three things. I always use the rule of three. Why, something happens. So in this case, for me, it's really production costs. You're not really going there to see Metallica. You're going there to see a freaking pyrotechnic concert, from what I recall. So you got pyrotechnics. You got, in some instances, if it's more like other people, you've got dancers, backup singers, theatrics, then their lifestyle, the hotels, the techs. So basically, it's the cost of the production itself. You're going there to see theater. You're not going there just for the music, put it that way. So that's one thing that adds to the cost of it. The other one, and this is probably a little bit greater, is just there is really, I think, a lack of other avenues for these bands and musicians to make money. I mean, you ask yourself, don't raise your hand, but when was the last time you actually bought an album? I grew up buying albums, and I actually miss those things. And then CDs. Now you're watching me on YouTube, so you can copy and paste YouTube, transfer that to MP3s, and do all sorts of stuff. Pirate it, basically, for lack of a better word. But I don't know who's actually buying things nowadays. But there is a lack of other avenues for musicians to make money, and so people don't buy albums like they used to. So all of that stuff. So this is a way for them to make money with the merch that they're going to be selling at these concerts and these festivals. So that aspect of it. The third one, which is really the key, always follow the big money. The big money is not the production. It's not the lack of other avenues. It's basically the music industry itself and the reseller market. I'm not going to go get all into it really deep, but if you look at Ticketmaster and all these places like Live Nation, StubHub, um, you know, they function as a vehicle to kind of distribute the money. I was watching something that says that Ticketmaster is basically almost like the IRS. So they're kind of like the bad guys. They are funneling money to the artists, to the promoters, credit card companies. But basically, all of these places exist to just keep jacking up the prices. So what do we do with all this stuff? If you can afford it and it's going to make you happy, by all means, go and watch that. For me, I would prefer, I guess, the $370. I can go buy myself, I don't know, a Fender Squire. For the $1,000, I can upgrade to a good used American Telly. For the $2,000 2K, I could take that money. You're in Gibson territory, something used and stuff like that. Buy yourself a book or something and learn from that. And get yourself a glass of wine because these prices are outrageous for live performances. And I know we're all hurting. I don't mean to make light of this stuff. This will help us just in terms of our mental psyche. But I'm praying for the days that the small clubs and venues and the bars and the Wallies will just open up, where you can see really great performances. And I've been fortunate. I saw Prince two times in my life. Once I saw him, oh man, long, long, long time ago. It was a horrible performance at the, I don't know, TD Bank North or whatever it's called right now in Massachusetts. But I caught him in Minneapolis, pop into a bar, play live, and it was beautiful. So there is no substitute and no experience for watching a band in a small venue that won't cost you that. Go get drunk, enjoy yourself in those things. And those are the things that got me to play music. And hopefully that'll come back and we won't have to pay these exorbitant prices. So sorry for the rant and thank you again for watching. Bye now.